Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
Hello, folks. How are you today? I'm Bob, the owner and creator of Bob's Place, obviously. All right, so today is a beautiful Saturday. We're tinkering around with microphones and seeing which one actually works better. The stock mic, which is this one, or the Shure mic, which is this one, which is the one that I'm on now. This one's expensive. That one's about cheapy as you can get, but it works. All right, I'm going to move you guys over this way so you can see me, see my mess behind me, but that's okay. Somewhere back in there is a cat. There she is. She's over there in the chair on the thing behind me. Sorry, my COPD's acted up this morning, so if I start breaking out coughing, you know why. All right. So, first off, welcome aboard, everybody. If this is your first time here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And when you subscribe all, please. And what that does, it allows you to actually get notified anytime we go live online. Right now, we're currently at 190. I want to see around 300 by January. And if you guys can help me get to that point by putting out the word, sharing the channel, talking about us and other networks, even on your channel, if you have one. And I'm sure many of you do. All right, I'm going to turn my microphone down just a hair and see if that helps a little bit. It sounds a little bit tinky in my ears. So hopefully that took out that bite that was on it. Okay, so what we're doing today is something that's a little unusual. I swore I would not do this for anybody, but because of what's going on online inside of the crime community thing, we've had so much turmoil with one of our creators called Bullhorn Betty. And this woman can raise a fire out of matchsticks that aren't even lit. But that's why they would call her Bullhorn Betty. She has a reputation of being loud and obnoxious as all get out. That's her shtick. And it works for her. Me, I'm the type of person, I hide in a closet. I don't want people to know who I am, what I do. So, what I've done is I've gone around all the various places today, listened to everybody critiquing, and I finally broke down and said, hey, where can I watch this thing in full? I missed the program. Well, I have the program from Court TV. And it was a hour-long program, give or take. But this one is just from Betty on. And I think there's an interview with Seth at the end. I'm not sure. I haven't watched it. So we're going to watch this together. Understand that I have to interrupt this viewing and critique it for the fair use portion of copyrighted material. All right, so just understand what I'm doing. This is for educational purposes only because nobody else has talked about the actual show, nor have they shown it. So I'm going to do that. I'm not monetized. I don't care. And I want it, that way I can see the truth. And I know if I want it, so does somebody else. I don't want to take somebody else at wannabe face value and hope that they had the truth behind it. Well, we're fixing to find out what the truth is today. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this court TV in its entirety, containing Bullhorn Betty. And the reason why I want to do that is for educational purposes only. And because of the fair use policy, I have to interrupt it. It is copyrighted material, so I definitely have to interrupt and do a critique. So if you guys have any questions during that pause, let me know. Even in the, if you're watching this on replay, feel free to put a comment in the replay. I will read them at a later time. So this is Vinny's show on Court TV. So without further ado, let's get going here.
On Court TV.
Why are you harassing me and following me? Why are you harassing me and following me when I'm conducting business?
How can I be following you when
You just were in the plaza. You've been following me, sir. You guys have been harassing me and threatening me for 2 days. Better go through that light. With me. I don't need violence. I will capture you on film. Prove it. There it is. Who's following? Who's stalking? Who's harassing?
All right. Who was that? What was that? You may be wondering, right?
Wow,
that is...
What a trip, huh? All right, so for those of you that don't know Bullhorn Betty, you just got a good introduction to her right there. She has this very crass behavior with people. Even online, she's the same way. If you're not in her arena of friends, you're an enemy. And she will teach you or treat you like an enemy. That's just the style that she is. All right. She stands all of 4 foot tall, blondish gray hair, with attitude at 45. Go figure, right? All righty. So basically what this is that she went up from Florida to Tennessee to go, quote unquote, check on what's going on in town. So, she went in to Tennessee. It's going to work. Okay, there we go. She put it out to everybody that she was going to be going up there to roll by the house, put up flyers, do this, do that, and all the time. And all the while, she would be live on her channel. Well, a lot of people put all these clips together and gave them to the DA and to the family involved in this PPO as evidence for them. They, in turn, gave it to the DA. The judge presented it the other day. And this is where we're at. So let's listen.
From a YouTube true crime live streamer. She goes by the name of Bullhorn Betty. And she's been on the front lawn of Brian Laundrie's parents. She's been in front of Leilani Simon's home down in Georgia. And in this instance, she was covering the story of the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers in Tennessee, and there was in some level of a confrontation with Sebastian's stepfather, I believe. But what I just showed you was evidence that's being used against her. It's being used against her in court. So this is Sebastian Rogers. You know him. Seth Rogers, you know him, Sebastian's dad. He's been on the show plenty of times. He's about to join us in a moment. He was in court as well, I guess observing and watching, not necessarily as a litigant to this. And it was all about Chris and...
Okay, Seth, I have to pick on you. You notice his head? I'm sorry. You don't look good in cornrows. They suck, my friend. So whoever did that, you need to talk to them and say, hey, no more doing that nonsense to me. I don't look good in a braid. You're not Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Katie Proudfoot, Katie Proudfoot is the mother of Sebastian, and then Chris is the stepfather. And they brought an action to restrain, to stop Bullhorn Betty from allegedly harassing them. And there she is on the stand. Her real name is Andra Griffin, but everyone knows her. She calls herself Bullhorn Betty on YouTube. So to give you an idea of what she was doing online, in court, they played videos from her YouTube channel. So I'm going to play you a section of that. They played a lot more than I'm going to show you, but take a look so you have an idea of who Bullhorn Betty is and what she was saying online about Sebastian Rogers' mom and stepfather and other members of that side of the family.
Now, I tried to find the actual court recording that was done by the court TV camera, and I could not find it for love nor money. It's probably on the editor's floor. The case itself went on for hours and hours and hours for a simple PPO, and because they were fighting back and forth and whatnot. The biggest problem was Bullhorn Betty herself and her interpretation of the First Amendment. What is it that I can do? What can't I do? I didn't do that. You can't prove it. Well, watch this, because we're going to prove that you did, lady. You've been lying to this court the whole time. And here's our evidence.
If people are in this area and they're watching me and you know Chris and Katie, or you know where they like to hang out, please let me know. You know, if they had a favorite, obviously they both like to drink. I mean, to me, if you know anything about Christopher Proudfoot, anything about where his stomping grounds were, anything about people that he may have known, anything about somebody wanting to come forward and just speak to me about him. So if anybody has any information about Christopher Proudfoot, anything about his life, anything about his childhood, anything about his time in elementary school, middle school, or high school, please come forward. I am very interested in speaking to you.
I'm sure you are, but unfortunately, that violates that PPO big time. The PPO specifically states third party. You cannot use them. And that's why she got in trouble the first time. She actually got booked for violation of a PPO. Well, now, right after that case was resolved and she was let go, she got home and did it again. All right? And it's been continuing every day to do it again. So she has her groupies do the legwork, and she's involving them in a crime. And unfortunately, they don't realize that. So, if I were you, I would think twice. If this lady approaches you or demands that you get involved in it, tell her not no, but not me, Bubba. I'm not getting involved in your nonsense. It's not worth me going to jail for you.
And, you know, I'm trying to find out who Katie and Chris are as people. I'm trying to find out what they do, you know, with their normal life. Where do they go? What do they like to eat, you know, play with? Where do they like to go camping, hunting, fishing? Where do they take a vacation? What's the comfortable areas for them? Katie's got a new car. The lady literally went car shopping in the middle of her son's missing person. She left the house. She's changed her hair color.
Funny how she knows that. See, that was one of her little troopies following the family. She did not go after them. One of her sub people, they subbed to the channel, followed that family right after the vigil to see where they were going. Violation. Harassment.
She's now changing her appearance. She's wearing glasses. There. Chris Proudfoot was not at the airport to pick up his daughter. It's time for me to go over to the Yogi Bear campground. I want to see. I doubt that anybody will speak to me.
I use this phone here to capture on the 9-foot pole. But these are my night vision goggles and stuff. They film, they record, they everything. These things right here are pretty awesome. I'm good at what I do. It's kind of creepy I do what I do, but I'm good at what I do. And it's a job. What you gonna
Did you just hear that? I'm creepy at what I do. Yeah, that's an understatement.
do, sir? I didn't step on your property other than to put a missing person flyer on your post. Dum-dum. I'm in a public place. Yes. Why are you harassing me and following me? Why are you harassing me and following me when I'm conducting business?
How can I be following you when
you just were in the plaza? You've been following me, sir. You guys have been harassing me and threatening me for 2 days.
Prove it.
Can you say road rage? I don't know what your laws are, but if you pull that crap around any one of these states out here, more than likely you're looking at a road rage violation. And why they didn't give it to her is beyond me.
I am right here, sir. Right here, sir. You better go through that light. With me. I don't need violence. I will capture you on film. I just want to.
So, like I said, this is a PPO, and that was one of the victims involved. I would have bolted through that traffic light myself. That is straight up here. You have this woman, this Karen, who's verbally insulting you, and you got one choice. You can't go anywhere because there's a car in front of him. So he's got to wait on the green light and get the hell out of Dodge. Now, I want to ask yourself one question. If that was you and you were a concealed carry permit holder, could you have actually shot her? Not really. Because there's no weapon involved. There's no threat of intent. But, rest assured, you could put your hand on it and be ready. Now, she's standing on the berm, yelling her head off, and you saw what happened. How can I be following you? You're behind me, woman. Get real.
I just want to ask you, what do you think your law enforcement is going to do when you piss me off? And it goes for the Bowerstocks and the Proudfoots. When I bring the show to your town. I'm just asking. Because I've been very calm. I've been very courteous. I've been trying to do my job without making a ruckus. But if you want to push me, honey, I'll come back with a whole kind of ruckus that you guys would not even know what to do with, and your law enforcement will not be able to stop.
So, based upon that video and the testimony inside the courtroom, here was the decision by the judge. And again, Chris Proudfoot was in court trying to get a restraining order against Bullhorn Betty.
It's not a frivolous lawsuit. It is a order of protection. It falls outside. It's not asking for damages. It's asking for a party to leave another party alone. Ms. Griffin states that she is an investigative journalist and that she reports on news and commentary.
Bring you up to speed. It's not a lawsuit. See, she did her own paperwork initially, and she tried to insinuate all these different things that were happening, basically lying, like she just did on that videotape, because on the court stand, well, did you get out of your car at any time? No. And they showed that. Did you get out of your car when you were posting things in town? No. And the judge looked at her, cocked his head. Well, how did the flyer get on the pole if you didn't get out of your car? Did it just magically fly over there? Did you throw it over there? Well, yeah, I got out for that. Well, the pole's 5 feet in from the sidewalk line, or the curb line. They do not have sidewalks in that neighborhood. Part of that whole PPO thing is that she is trespassing on people's property. And indeed, she proved it by putting her foot in their grass on their property and illegally putting a sign on a utility pole. Go figure, right? Betty in Betty fashion.
Somewhere along the line, this turned not into a pursuit to find Sebastian Rogers. It turned into a personal vendetta. You know, it's interesting that you came to Sumner County to help assist in finding Sebastian Rogers, but there's been really very little testimony by you of what you've done other than harass Mr. and Ms. Proudfoot and Mr. and Ms. Bowersocks. As it relates to these matters, when somebody crosses the line, a reasonable person that feels terrorized, frightened, intimidated, and harassed by a pattern of conduct is not investigative journalism. Therefore, based on the facts presented in this case, I do not find the motion to dismiss the civil and the criminal cases under 20 TCA 2017-101 etc.
Okay, in a minute, I don't know if they're going to show it here, but keep your ears open for a pair of footsteps going out the door.
Well taken, and therefore they are denied.
Is she allowed to mention them on YouTube and TikTok, Your Honor?
You must not come around a person for any purpose or contact this person.
Notice who is not there. Second row, far left side, was where Seth was sitting at. The gentleman in the green shirt is Tony, his quote-unquote loose term spokesman. Seth, as these were being read out, stood up and stomped out like a 5-year-old stomping his feet all the way out the door. Go figure.
For any purpose or contact this person directly or indirectly. Text message, email, social media of any type. These people are basically not in your world anymore. I can't be any more clear than that.
Betty, that's social media of any type. I can't be more clear than that. These people do not exist in your world. You can't get any more clear than that. Do it again, I dare you.
She lost. She lost today. There's more that's going to happen. But I want to bring in our special guest joining us tonight. Sebastian Rogers' father, Seth Rogers, is with us, and the Rogers family spokesperson, Tony Mathis, as well. Thank you both for coming here. What's your reaction?
Okay, what's your reaction to all this? What I want you, the viewer, to pay attention to on this. Watch my mouse. This hand. Right there. Whoops, you can't see me. Watch Tony Mathis's hand on that armrest. He's going to make a movement towards Seth. to restrain what he says.
Seth and Tony, to what happened today or yesterday in court with Bullhorn Betty, and what are your thoughts about?
Did you catch it? Let me back up. Whoop, too far. Okay, so get ready.
And the Rogers family spokesperson, Tony Mathis, as well. Thank you both for coming here. What's your reaction, Seth and Tony, to what happened today or yesterday in court with Bullhorn Betty, and what are your thoughts about Bullhorn Betty and what she's been doing?
Well, Vinny, first off, thank you for having us tonight. Let me be crystal clear about something. That entire family lied under oath to get.
Okay, at first thought, when people were watching this, that young lady behind Seth, everybody thought that was our fearless leader, Betty. Not confirmed. And I'm not going to say it is or it isn't. But I'll leave you up, to make up that determination. I could back it up just a few minutes here, for a few seconds. Let's see if this works. Do. Maybe not. Well, pooper scooper, that ain't gonna work. That lady right there. You really can't see a face on her. I tried my darndest to get to where I could see the profile on her. But you know how hard it is to do this? All right, now, he's looking. You can see her backside right there. All right, so let's come back just a hair. Pay attention. And we'll play it.
Bullhorn Betty and what she's been doing.
You really can't tell.
Well, Vinny, first off, thank you for having us tonight. Let me be crystal clear about something. That entire family lied under oath to get those protective orders. This family has spent more time trying to silence people than they've spent looking for Sebastian. We know for a fact that there's no proof that Sebastian walked out of that home. And it makes you wonder what else they're lying about, Vinny. It also makes you wonder what would happen if Sebastian would have been able to file a protective order against his stepfather.
Seth, your reaction to what happened and what is happening in all of this.
Okay, get ready, because here comes the poor pitiful me routine. Now remember, he stormed out, stomping his cowboy boots. Like he's Sheriff, good old Bubba, walking out the door to prove a point.
My professional opinion, I would say something along the lines of Chris and Katie did something to my son. They're using Sumner County.
Okay, for those of you that don't know, professional opinion as a correctional officer for the Sheriff's Department. Really, Chris?
County to cover it up and to hide themselves from the actual law.
And let me ask you, Seth, and we have no independent information. We know that police are saying there's no suspect. No one's been named as a suspect in any of this. But this seems to be, at least from my perspective, Seth, is it a change in the way you are seeing what has transpired through all this? Are you seeing things differently than you did before?
It's the evidence. I still believe my son is alive. I still believe he's somewhere. But the fact is that he was at their house last. There is no evidence that he ever left the house. And they, as Tony has stated, they have spent more money and time trying to get people to not speak about Sebastian than speaking about Sebastian. Sumner County hasn't come out since April with anything. And Katie won't come out and speak, won't ask for help to find Sebastian. I really have to say that she never loved her son. And on top of that, I have the DCS reports that I...
Okay, DCS reports. Rumor is, and this is why I don't get involved in the true crime community, rumor is they were on his phone and he wrote the damn things. Now, I don't know about you, but those are legal documents with legal headers. I'm not even going to go there, but, you know, the rumor is that he wrote it. Somebody stole it and put it out there. Personally, I haven't seen them. I don't have them. I don't want them because it doesn't concern me and it doesn't pertain to me. But they are out there in the internet. And people have said they've been redacted, this, that, the other thing. I mean, there's been a whole lot of garbage on that one alone. And this case has been like that. You know, you're either on the child's family side or you're on Seth and Tony's side. There is no, where's the kid at? Let's get in the middle and let's focus on what we're doing. And that's where the, you know, the big problem lies with this case.
I've written that I have literally took me an attorney to get them.
Okay, let me back that up just a hair. That way you get the full gist.
Sebastian. Sumner County hasn't come out since April with anything. And Katie won't come out and speak, won't ask for help to find Sebastian. I really have to say that she never loved her son. And on top of that, I have the DCS reports that I've written that I have literally took me an attorney to get them. Sebastian deserves a restraining order from those two psychopaths.
Again, watch his hand.
Tony, now, you've accused them of lying, the Proudfoots, right? So what were they lying about from your perspective? And again, we have no independent information or confirmation that they said anything that was untrue or verification that what they said was true, like either way. But what were they lying about from your perspective, and what's the evidence from your perspective that they are not telling the truth?
Well,
Body
they actually
language.
were lying, and it was proven in court that they were lying about what they stated in the protective orders, which was that she had had physical contact with them, that she was following, stalking, and harassing them. And even on the stand, Mr. Proudfoot admitted that he had never met her in person. So in my opinion, it's a little difficult to be stalking somebody that you've never met in person.
Okay, so you know who's who. This person right here is a dad, stepdad, the mom. The two people behind them are creators on YouTube that live in the same town and know them personally. The rest of their family are back here where this guy's at, back here.
Person. And it goes to the many inconsistencies that have been told by Mr. Proudfoot since the very first interview. Not one of his interviews have matched up, Benny.
And when you say the interviews haven't matched up, you're not talking about, so I just want to make this clear to everyone watching, you're talking about the disappearance of Sebastian, not about Bullhorn Betty in this case.
Yeah, the Bullhorn Betty lies were just another long string in the lies that they've told since the beginning. If you go back and break the interviews down from the...
Wait a minute, what did he say? The Bullhorn lies are a string of lies in this whole thing? No, she's been trying to push your narrative, dummy. She's lying to cover her ass for you. Don't be mixing apples and oranges on this.
The very first interview they did, all the way from Nancy Grace and beyond, before they quit coming out in public, you can see one inconsistency after the next. And the great thing about telling the truth, Benny, is when you're doing that, it's always the same. It doesn't change.
So what's the most material inconsistency that you believe has been stated from Chris and or Katie?
Regarding Sebastian?
Absolutely. That's what I care about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Many inconsistencies told about the phone calls, the time of the phone calls, the bed times, what happened after he went to bed. Just, you know, that entire 10 to 12 hour period, many inconsistencies. Also, not rock solid alibis and a lot of time that's unaccounted for. They were also, probably the biggest thing, Benny, is that they told Nancy Grace that they were told by TBI not to take a polygraph, and we found out later from TBI that that is 1,000% not accurate.
That's a big one.
Now, according to them, they did. But it's a lie. Really. And you got that information from who?
That's a big one. Okay, Tony Mathis, Seth Rogers is going to stay with us. We've got more to talk about. We're going to take you inside the courtroom so you can hear some of the testimony from today. And you'll see Chris Proudfoot on the witness stand. Just want to make it clear, like, the First Amendment versus prior restraint of speech is serious business. And the judge made a decision today keeping her away from them. But how far did it go towards what she can say about this case? We'll be back.
Okay, so you heard it there. How far can she go? That's a good question. And everybody's been dying to know exactly how far she could go. The judge, pretty much on the last one where they had the PPOs on his, for his wife, said pretty much the same thing. And the judge stated, I've made my ruling and it stands. Which kind of left everybody scratching their head going, well, and that was, and nobody really knew. No contact, period. All right, it's a no contact order. But they didn't break it down as far as, what do you mean no contact? I'm a content creator. Or annoyer, whichever the word may be. But that's what she does. So now we're going to try to figure out where we're at here and go.
Have other people contacted you based off of Ms. Griffin's conduct on her social media accounts?
Hundreds.
Okay. How often does that happen?
Daily.
Is it possible for you to avoid the media circus that surrounds Ms. Griffin's conduct?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Have people gotten your personal phone number that way?
Yes, sir.
Have they gotten your email?
Yes, sir.
They message you on Facebook?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's Chris Proudfoot. Bullhorn Betty goes online, provides information, and apparently her viewers or followers are sending messages and attempting to contact Chris Proudfoot. So the judge's decision has prevented Bullhorn Betty from contacting the Proudfoots. But what I heard in the decision was, it sounds like she can still talk about them. She just cannot contact them through social media, cannot contact them through text or email or any other way. He's got to stay away from them. I understand that decision. Whether you agree or disagree, it's up for debate. But that's the judge's decision. But it seems that she can still talk about them. Now, Chris Proudfoot was asked another important question when it comes to a restraining order, right? To prevent someone from going somewhere or contacting someone. There's got to be a reason. He's asked, why are you afraid of Bullhorn Betty? Take a listen.
What are you afraid of from Andrea Griffin?
Now remember, she's all of 4 foot tall. He's 6'2", weighs 250 plus.
What am I directly afraid of, sir? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Well, when you make a video threatening that you want to bring a gun from another state to this state, directly in videos related to me, my wife, my family, that's a threat, plain and simple.
Okay.
She also said she was going to bring a machete, for the record.
Okay, let's bring back in Seth Rogers, Sebastian's dad, and Tony Mathis.
Okay, now I'm not sure if he's going to say anything on it, but I will bring it up. In the previous case with his wife, the judge gave her a direct order to surrender her firearms to the local sheriff in Florida. Under oath, they were asked about the firearms. They, being her and her attorney, where are your firearms at? My mom's. Violation, again, failure to follow court order. Yeah, this is a lady that wants you to pay for all of her court fees that she now has to pay for. Think about it before you pay bills.
Just a quick clarification. Everyone's watching that. Was she threatening to bring a machete to go after the Proudfoots?
Well, Benny, you being one of the better investigative reporters in this case, you know that if you take a 4 or 5 second clip out of an hour-long video.
All right, and he's going to beat around the bush on the answer. She was in the car, supposedly beating bushes, and she had the machete in order to cut down the weeds, which I can see because Tennessee has got a lot of briar bush. But that isn't what she was there for. And the judge identified that real quick at the beginning of this presentation. It looked like you came up there for a vendetta. There is very little proof of any searching being done. In her vehicle, she had the machete, no weapon. Well, I guess the machete counts.
You can twist that and turn that into anything you want it to be. When she was talking about the things that she was going to need to be walking through these heavily wooded areas, one of the things that she mentioned she would probably need is a machete. But you don't get to see all that because that doesn't fit the narrative. Does that make sense?
On top of that, if she had stated that she was going to bring a machete, don't you think the felon that made the video for the Proudfoots would have actually clipped that in there? And it wasn't clipped in there. And if you notice, the attorney, that shyster that was sitting there representing the Proudfoots and the Bowersox, when they asked Chris the question, have you been contacted? They never asked who contacted them, because nobody that is on Betty's team or my team is actually reaching out to speak to these pathetic excuses for parents.
Once again, another one. Seth had hired a couple PIs. And when they first came on, they met with both parties involved to get information. And we'll leave it at that.
And Benny, if you actually listen to what was said there in court, the attorney asked the question, have you been contacted by people regarding things that Betty has been saying?
Right.
The people that are contacting Chris are his people. They're not Betty's people. They're contacting Chris saying, This is what Betty said today. This is what she said yesterday. Well, all you've got to do is tell those people, if you don't want to hear it, to quit contacting you. That shouldn't make you afraid of a 5-foot female as a man that has a strong history of being able to deal with females.
So let's refocus now and get back to what this is really about, which is finding your son, Seth. So Sebastian, I'm sorry. Yeah, to find Sebastian. Your relationship with Sebastian's mom seems at this point is completely non-existent. I know early on there was talk about trying to work together, and it seemed like you were trying to come together to do something, but that just doesn't exist. So what is the status of the search for Sebastian? As you sit here tonight, what is going on? Who is doing what, whether it's law enforcement, any private organizations, members of the public, whoever? What is the status of all of that?
We have we have over 50 people that are working on this case.
Yeah, you got a whole lot of people working on this case, and not a damn one of them are in the state of Tennessee. Interesting. And for those of you that don't know, that's Dog the Bounty Hunter and his attorney and all the people that they have that work for night investigations. Now, granted, they may have a couple people doing legwork, but they don't have over 50 people in that state. Nobody's seen anybody. They haven't contacted a single soul, and those that live there, nobody has seen them. But yet they've got all these people, they say, okay, cool.
Just in investigators, FBI. I mean, been working with the FBI. It's how we got a reward out there. Sumner County, the people that are in charge of Sumner County refuse to connect the dots. So we have to go beyond Sumner County. My son is somewhere, and me personally, I believe Katie knows.
Vinny, you can tell that we're a little bit more uptight tonight than we usually are. But we've watched the antics. We've watched Chris smile and laugh and joke in court when we've got a broken father and Seth that's missing his son. You guys sent a very, very professional, independent camera and photographer to cover this court case, a girl by the name of Athena. We found out after the court case was over that Chris looked at her and winked at her in the middle of the trial.
It was flirting.
We've got a real problem with that when there's a missing child.
He's supposed to be married.
Yeah.
Vows not mean anything anymore.
So let's talk about this now. There's going to be a lot of people watching right now and say, listen, I want to do something. I want to help. What can they do?
A lot of things, Vinny. They can pray. They can continue to spread awareness. They can put flyers up. They can talk about him in a positive way, regardless of which side of the family they support. Because remember, this is about Sebastian. It's not about Seth. It's not about Tony. It's not about Chris and Katie or any of the crazy grandparents. It's not about any of that. This is about Sebastian. And if
these guys are so close to a slander lawsuit, it's not funny. There were things said that shouldn't have been said. Just saying.
If you are here for Sebastian, your focus should be Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. That's it. Nothing else.
Absolutely.
He's the one missing. Unfortunately, the judge wanted to sit there and offer his condolences for our loss. My son is missing. I understand that judge's child passed away, and that made him emotional in this case. Judgment from the judge should have been blind to begin with. He was emotional, and I'm pretty sure my son is lost. He is alive. He is missing. All right, that judge buried their child.
Seth Rogers.
Sebastian is alive.
We're out of time for tonight, but I appreciate it, and we'll stay in contact. Seth Rogers, Tony Mathis. When we come back, we'll reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour.
And that was his show. Now, if you didn't catch it, Seth got all sorts of angry right there at the end of it, frustrated. And that's the one thing that everybody's been catching, his attitude. Now, I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. But like I said, body language speaks volumes to those that know what to look for. So, you need to pay attention to two things. What's being said, how it's being said, and the other is who is asking for money and why. Do you trust that person? I'm not saying you don't have to. I'm just saying be careful of where you're donating your money. And be careful of these grifters, which is people that have got their hands out, pay me to do nothing, and they'll give you any excuse in the world to say, I need your money. There's a word for that, con artist. So thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary, watching the whole thing, not just bits and pieces of it, and having people on a platform talking over the top of it instead of pausing it. And we did it in a timely fashion of just under 55 minutes. So again, thanks for being here. We enjoyed having you guys with us. Leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to the channel and put a like in that button if this is the type of content that you like. And we'll make sure we continue to continue. Until then, God bless.